Let's go ahead and open up with questions for a little bit before we jump in and start doing our protocols.
May I ask which oils we're going to use?
I'm not sure what we're going to do. I'm going to kind of base it on the things that we end up talking about.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm good in lots of ways. That's what we get to
Yeah,
focus
good,
on.
good.
It's so good to see your face, and I kind of wish we could turn the camera around, see Samantha's face, but I'll just say hi in the meantime. Thank you, thank you.
Well, you don't think that angelic picture's my face?
Hey, Greg, it's Robin.
Hey, Robin.
How's it going?
Doing good.
Good. I have a friend who had knee surgery like 2 months ago, and it's still inflamed and hurting her. I had her do the best I know, the cedar and the marjoram.
Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah. So what did she have done? She have it scoped, or was it a knee replacement or meniscus?
I think it was a knee replacement. Yeah.
Knee replacement. Yeah,
Knee replacement.
they take a while. And sometimes it takes longer than others. So is there a lot of swelling?
Yeah, there's swelling and pain.
Yeah. So, I'd probably do the same thing that I'd start off with, like what we did with Yarrow. Have her take the galbanum and the black cumin internally.
Okay.
And topically, I would probably put her on German chamomile at first. And, the reason being, it's going to reduce inflammation, and it is has some pain relieving properties, but part of the issue sometimes with knee replacement is there can be a lot of excess fluid in the area for quite a while. And so, you're dealing with the swelling from the surgery, but sometimes they put like fluid and things in the knee to puff it up so that they can get in and do the manipulations. And that's one that's a little bit of a tough one to bounce back from. And so I'd put her on topically with like a massage oil, or even in a liniment. I'd put like 10-12 drops of German chamomile and then just rub it in all over the knee, front, back, sides, a little bit above, a little bit below. And then after about a week of treating it like that, I'd probably switch over and have her use that blend joint relief, or like a combination of rosemary, some cedar, like juniper or pine, something like that. And just try to get blood moving in and out of that joint. Part of the issue is the swelling is that it's like really stagnant venous flow, and it's not getting the best fresh blood in there because of it. And so you want to kind of get new healthy blood in there, because it's got the oxygen and the nutrients and things, and then flushing out that old stagnant blood. So it's very common for there to be a lot of stagnation after a knee surgery. Knee surgeries are much harder to recover from than even a hip surgery. Hip surgeries, people bounce back relatively quick. Knees can take a little while. It's an odd joint. Like the hip, the shoulder, the elbow, everything has that kind of a socket where you have something like the knee and the wrist, the wrist and the ankle, where there's multiple bones. The knee is just two bones stacked on top of each other. It's a joint, but it's just kind of two things stacked on top of each other. Like it's really an odd joint.
Okay.
So it like sometimes it's not it can be a period of time before that thing becomes like stable again, because it doesn't have that socket kind of set up. It's just a bone on top of a bone with some ligaments holding it together. And so, depending on the surgery and how aligned it is and everything, it can take a little bit to get better, And so two months is still kind of early on. You know, the thing that you shoot for with any sort of surgery is about 3 months out. You get them to about 80% of where they're at. That last 20% sometimes can still take another 9 to 10 months. And
Wow.
so, yeah, especially, you know, with something like what she had done, you know, there's a good size incision. They had to cut the bone and, you know, drive the device into the leg. And so, you know, that can take a little while.
Okay,
Um,
that's, I think
yeah.
that part of what happens is she gets afraid that it's taking so
Yeah,
long.
it pretty normal. Like
Okay.
that's so normal. And 2 months out, I mean, you definitely want to get. How is she doing with her ranges of motion with physical therapy and stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I know she's
Yeah.
going to physical therapy, but
Yeah, ask her if she's hitting her targets for her physical therapy as far as ranges of motion,
okay.
and that will be a big piece of it. And the thing is, like with physical therapy. Physical therapy is not something where you walk out of there going, boy, I feel better. It's
Right.
usually very uncomfortable. Like it's, you know, it's, I don't want to say it makes you feel miserable a little bit, but you're pushing your body to do something that doesn't feel intuitive to do. You know, you're increasing range of motion, you're exercising when it hurts, you're doing things that kind of like borderline kind of aggravate the body a little bit to strengthen or increase mobility and everything. And so she should have some sort of way of reducing the inflammation and the pain after her physical therapy sessions. I mean, that can be very, very uncomfortable. So the black cumin and the galbanum should help that. It should help her to meet her target. One of the things that we do use a lot, when we're trying to increase ranges of motion and things like that, is the chakra root cleanser. Works really well for moving the lymph and increasing ranges of motion. It works really, really good for that. We have one physical therapist that she buys up a ton of it, and she works with Olympic athletes and pro athletes. And she says it consistently, they can measure it on machines, how it increases range of motion and flexibility. And so that could be part of the regimen. You know, she could put it on meat, she could put it on rotating it with the German chamomile, but it can be very, very helpful when trying to hit those targets. Yeah, the 2 months out, nobody that has a knee replacement feels good at 2 months.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like it's frustrating, but that one takes a while. Like
Okay.
hips, people bounce back actually relatively pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but knees take a little bit.
Well, that's really good to know.
Yeah, one of the harder ones to come back from
Okay.
is knees. You know, it still needed to happen, but it still takes a little bit.
I have one more question.
Fire away.
I had a head injury in 2006. I did a lot of homeopathy, a lot of qigong, a lot of neural movement to shift it. But when I get activated, when I get pressured, when I get stressed, it's like my whole head just inflames. It's just like in a nanosecond, it's just like inflammation.
Where did you hit your head?
You know, it was an internal hit. It was
so you just got rattled, or
yeah, but it was a concussion. It was definitely a concussion. They said in the MRI, my head hit against itself.
okay. So it gets inflamed. You probably have some fascial lesions up there. I mean, that's usually what happens with a concussion. So that it was probably a back and forth slosh. You know, I would do I would use like probably something like helichrysum in the cranial pattern. I would do that kind of maybe a couple of times a week. You could take some helichrysum internally. And the other thing that does help with what they call it scarring, but really what it is it's like the fascia or the connective tissue goes into like a spasm. It's not muscle, it's connective tissue, but in a way, they call it scarring, but it's really more like a fascial lesion. And so things like rosemary can help. Black cumin, definitely several drops of black cumin taken over a period of time will help break those up. There has been times where people have had lesions where if the rosemary and the cumin didn't work, I put somebody on the herb, so it's not an oil form, it would be an herb, but I put them on ginkgo biloba.
Mhm.
And the ginkgo is a cephalic where it increases blood to the head, and it does thin the blood a little bit, so it helps penetrate some of those fascial lesions, and it can be helpful. But if you do get a cut or something when you're taking a decent dosage of ginkgo, it's harder for the cut to stop bleeding. It's harder for it to clot. And
Right.
so, you want to be a little bit careful of, not doing things where you could get a cut or a bad bruise or something, because it will be worse than normal.
Okay.
But like, I would say, let's start you with doing helichrysum on the cranial pattern and taking probably 3 to 4 drops of black cumin a day. It doesn't
Okay.
matter what part of the day, but just, it's going to take a little bit. It will be something that we'll have to probably reevaluate like in about 30 days or so.
Okay.
But between the two of those, that usually gets it.
Okay.
That usually can knock it out. You could take a helichrysum bath from time to time, or do like a scalp massage or shampoo with some helichrysum in it. You're not getting it on the inside of the skull, but sometimes there's even fascial lesions on the outside that can be addressed, and just getting it close sometimes will. And start with that. And if that doesn't really reduce it, there's other ways of treating it, but we almost need to cross that one off the
Okay.
list of the black cumin in the helichrysum.
Okay. Great. I'll give it a shot. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And Kathy?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Hi, Wicked.
I'm very itchy. My back is like constantly itchy, kind of more at night.
Okay.
Driving me crazy.
Has that just been a recent thing, or?
No, it usually happens every winter, and it seems, and
Yeah,
it's been going
okay.
on for quite some time.
Yeah, so that they call that, what do they call that? Pruritus or something like that. So I mean, there's a couple things. Usually you can do this kind of straightforward with like maybe taking a bath or a salt bath with it, and you can try just using lavender. But most times with that like kind of itchiness that's not really rash related, it's just like kind of the skin just gets that itchy response. Basically it's like the nerve gets a little bit irritated. You can try taking baths in Roman chamomile. And Roman chamomile a lot of times will knock that out. You can put it in a lotion and have somebody rub it on your back. Or if you have a hard time, you don't have to really do that, and you have a hard time reaching the areas, you can do it in a salt bath.
How many drops?
In the salt bath, I'd probably do about 15 drops. If somebody was gonna put some massage oil on your back or lotion and cover your back, I'd say probably 8 drops, like 8-10 drops.
Straight, or should I have it in a carrier?
I like in a carrier oil, like a massage oil or lotion. And usually that will knock it out. The other thing that you can do is take some long, slow, deep breaths with tarragon. And tarragon is really good for calming down sensory nerves. And so a lot of times what that is the sensory nerve is a little bit like agitated, and it could be agitated just like with the weather changes or barometric changes, things like that. If you're in places where it's cold or it's excessively hot, it could be for all kinds of reasons. It could be a byproduct of allergies, but still you should be able to calm down the itchiness. And so, I mean, a lot of times you'll find relief with the very first treatment. It might not completely go away, but within treating it for a week or two, it should reduce substantially, if not completely go away. And so if it doesn't, then there's some other things that we could start trying, but that's usually where I start. I mean, there's been times where we've knocked it out with just good old fashioned lavender, but I find Roman chamomile is actually stronger for it.
Okay. And the other
Yeah.
thing is I get headaches every night around 2:30.
2:30 in the morning.
I take
Yeah.
aspirin or something, and usually I still wake up with a little one and I'll have coffee and then I'll be fine. But
You're coughing a lot or no?
no, coffee. No, I'm not coughing.
Coffee, okay. And what part of your head is hurting?
Kind of just all over, just a dull headache. Not
Top of your head, like a band around your head, more in the forehead, the temples,
top of my head, I think.
top of your head. Yeah. Are you meditating a lot or anything like that?
No, I could meditate more actually.
Okay. And have you been able to have your blood pressure checked in the last like couple months or something?
I check it twice daily because I'm on blood pressure medicine.
Okay. And blood pressure is regulated or not regulated?
I'm a little high. I don't take a heavy duty blood pressure medicine, but I take it once a day. And a beta blocker in the morning and then
Beta blocker. Okay. And the second number, like when you're doing your blood pressure, is it a little bit on the high side or is it just the first number?
first number is high, the other one's kind of low, usually like 65
Okay.
or 70.
So, I mean, you could try a couple of things. Do you have Cape Snowbush?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm collecting a repertoire of oils, so I'm always ordering.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like what we can do with what you have. So, rue, do you have rue?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm willing to order whatever I need, you know.
Well, it would be a little bit of an experiment, so I'm not sure that they'll work, but let's figure out something that might work for you. And you're getting them like daily or?
Not during the day so much, but nightly.
Okay. You know, I'm going to go out on a stretch here, and the thing that I would probably like you to do is take lemon verbena internally. And lemon verbena doesn't necessarily treat headaches in particular, but they treat hormonal headaches. And the only reason why I'd say that we're looking at a potential hormonal headache is just because of you being on beta blockers. The adrenals are really tied to the energy center that would shoot and, you know, move things up to the top of your head. There's a lot of things that really seem to kind of draw us to that. And so I think lemon verbena would be the first thing that I would try for you.
And I would take it internally or rub it on?
Yeah, I mean, you could do it topically and through inhalation, but it would take a lot longer. A lot of times with the internal, like sometimes that first dosage or two, you'll start to feel relief. And so I would say like maybe 2 drops. Two drops is probably all you need in water. You could do it right before you go to bed. You could probably actually even do it in the morning. It doesn't really matter when you're getting it in because you're trying to regulate your whole endocrine system. And then at night before you go to bed, I try taking some long, slow, deep breaths with probably spikenard.
Okay.
So
That's on my
spikenard
list
would
to order because that's
yeah,
one
so
of the 20.
spikenard would be very good for calming down the receptor sites for the epinephrine and norepinephrine, which is what beta blocker is trying to do. And so it just kind of helps augment the thing that you're already doing. And it could be just that you're hitting a window where the medication isn't always you know, knocking it out for you, and you're getting just a little bit of like a adrenaline blood pressure headache. You know, anytime you see pressure on the top of the head, one of the first things you want to knock out is make sure that the blood pressure is not causing it. And so that drawing beta blockers and I would just augment it without having to raise the dosage. You know,
So
I
the
think
spikenard before I go to bed, inhale.
yeah, spikenard should do it. I mean, you might be able to get away with it with marjoram, but I'd probably shoot for spikenard. And then take the lemon verbena internally, and you probably can knock that out, the headaches. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And if it doesn't work, email us or bring it up on Tuesday, and we'll keep figuring it out. I mean, both those oils have a lot of other uses, and so just because they have you on the beta blocker and it is lowering your blood pressure, your second number is low, it's probably a hormonal headache. Yeah.
Okay, I'll pay closer
sounds-
attention
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. And hormonal headaches, there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. Like, you really basically have to kind of regulate the endocrine system, but it's not like you can take deep breaths or change your diet or not get stressed, or you know what I mean? It's just, it's a hormonal headache. It's just, there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than regulating the hormones. And so the lemon verbena is really good about that. And then the spikenard will just keep the receptor sites calmed down. Yeah.
And just, I want to make a quick note to you. If you're taking it internally, you can just do it in a little bit of water if like it tastes bad. I just want to make reference.
Yeah, you can just take it like, or put it in juice or something, and then just make it so that it's like a shot or something.
You're
You know, in
talking
the old
about the
days-
lemon verbena that I'm taking.
Yeah,
And any of the oils.
any oils. Yeah.
Well, while we're
Like the
talking about
Bernarda.
that, I ordered the Moderna. That stuff is disgusting tasting.
Yeah.
Is there any way to?
You put it in some juice or something, or if it really is not something that's easy to go down, try putting it on a sugar cube.
Okay, because I put it in just a little bit of water and just chug it, and then
Yeah,
get it
that
over
works.
with.
That works. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Can organic MCT oil be used as a carrier?
Organic MCT.
It's usually kind of solid, looks like coconut. It's a coconut.
Oh, coconut oil.
Like
Yeah,
coconut.
yeah,
has,
yeah, yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
You know,
liquid.
you-
Hi, Greg. It's Miriam.
Hey, ma'am.
Hi. It's a liquid. It's not. It doesn't solidify at all.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it should be fine.
It's medium chain triglycerides. Comes in a great big gallon.
Oh, I remember that. That was quite a thing a couple years ago, wasn't it?
for the bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lasts
yeah,
forever.
yeah. Yeah, you could take it in that.
I could use it as a carrier oil.
Yeah, yeah,
Super.
yeah, yeah. How's the weather back there in
It's
North
crappy.
Andover?
It's
Yeah.
crappy. It's like this rain sleet stuff, you know, and a little slippery.
Yeah. I think yesterday we warmed up to the high was -1.
Wow.
I know, huh?
Slush doesn't stand a chance. It's all ice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's amazing what's coming across the country now. you know.
No joke.
Yeah.
No
I have a
joke.
quick question.
Hey, Zakia,
Hi, how are you? Where
I'm
were
doing
you
good.
when You had -1 degree.
Iowa.
Iowa.
Yeah.
As an herbalist, I often use honey as a herbal honey product.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is honey a good medium for essential
Yeah, it's a great
oils?
medium.
Okay.
Great medium. Yeah.
Awesome. So I
Yeah.
can make it like by the jar.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could just scoop it out and take it how you'd like. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, I went through a phase about 20 years ago. That's how I did it all.
Wow.
Because I was originally taught with a sugar cube, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do a sugar cube. And you know, I tried all these different things. I actually started doing ghee for a while, and then
Right.
I did the honey for quite a while.
Is it the same
Yeah.
proportion, 5 drops to an ounce of honey?
Well, it depends on what you're using, but like if you're trying to take it, I mean, you want to be able to get in a drop or two, like whenever you're ingesting it.
Right.
And so it depends on how much honey you're taking, you know, at the time. Like if you're taking a spoonful and putting it in coffee or something. So
Or if
you'll
I
have
wanted
to,
to make it as a product to sell along with my other line, do
um,
I want to make it like an 8-ounce jar? And X amount of drops?
I would probably make it a smaller jar, and I would probably make it so that like a teaspoonful was a couple of drops
Okay.
for, yeah. So you would have to figure out what, like if say you're doing a 2-ounce size jar, how
Right,
many
right.
teaspoonfuls went in there, and then go from there.
And would there be an expiration date or probably not?
No,
No.
nuh-uh.
Okay.
You know, honey is a good preservative, and
Right.
most oils don't have any issues with
Longevity.
aging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only ones that do have an issue are citrus peel oils. They'll become a little bit acidic, and so like I'd probably stay away from doing that for super long periods of time. Like something like that, I'd put an expiration date on there. But
Uh-huh.
even that, you could get, you know, 3 years easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks so much.
You're so welcome. Other oils, you know, you put in something, say you're doing it with frankincense. Honestly, there would be no expiration date.
Right.
I mean,
right.
you'll, because it's a product like that, you'll have to put an expiration date on, but 5 years, 10 years, that's easy.
Awesome.
You know, yeah.
Thanks so much.
You're so welcome. Stay warm back there.
I know. When you hit 50 degrees today
Oh, wow.
and hardly no rain. I was out all day, almost no rain.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was. That's why I asked you where you had 1 degree. Up here, it was like 50.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been getting down to -7, -8, -9 at night.
You
I
don't
think
live
one
in
night.
Iowa. Do you live in Iowa?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I thought you was in New Mexico.
I was for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm in Iowa now.
beginning to think I was going crazy. I said, how did
Nope,
he get in Iowa?
not going crazy. Yeah.
His
And-
summer
Yeah.
homes in
Yeah,
Iowa.
and I grew up
I
in
mean,
California.
winter home, not
I
winter
grew up a
home.
California boy, so I didn't even own a jacket for a majority part of my life.
Okay, thanks so much. Love
You're
you.
so welcome. Love you too.
Would you expand on poplar balsam and what it does on various levels?
Yeah, poplar balsam is really kind of amazing oil. You know, physically, it does have an impact on the lymphatic system, the nervous system, the endocrine system. It is a great regulator of the endocrine function. You know, the only reason I don't, like, you know, just a little bit ago, we were talking about the lemon verbena. Lemon verbena is much more cost effective, but the poplar balsam would also work. It's just, it's much more expensive. And so poplar is really good for regulating those systems. Very good for pain-related conditions. You know, we have a blend that we don't put on the site, but we use it for doing therapy and things like that. There's a special pain blend that we make that has the poplar balsam, and you know, it's very good for accelerating the healing process. Very good for lymphatic congestion. Very good for moving past trauma, both physical and psychological. Good for clearing emotions. Good for clearing mental issues. You know, a lot of times when you're treating something psychologically, you know, we look at that there's an emotional component and a mental component, even though they're intertwined. And a lot of times when you're needing to release physiological thought processes or just lower mental processes or something where you get really locked into a loop or a way of thinking, really the way that you have to be able to release that is you have to be able to go to the intuitive part of the mind or the right side of the brain. And so poplar balsam is really good for moving and shifting the brain over to that right side faculty for a bit. And so, it is used for an anointing oil in some of the Christian and Jewish traditions. It helps you become more conductive to the higher soul and to the divine. Pretty profound psychological healer, both for the higher faculties, the psychological emotions and thoughts, and the lower emotions and thoughts. Good for both of those. Very good for opening up the channels, very similar to mugwort. It's a pretty dynamic oil for what it is. And yeah, is there a particular question that you're wondering about, or a particular application? I mean, we use it for a lot in some of the blends I'm reworking because we're getting more and more access. I'm trying to buy up a lot of what this particular distiller makes. And so,
Greg, it's Christy. I asked the question.
Hey, Christy.
Hi. No, it's oil I have been working with since you recommended it.
Mhm.
Previous classes, but I just didn't have you had referenced that it does a lot of things on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
But I didn't know exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I wanted to understand it better.
Definitely affects like cerebral spinal fluid circulation. I mean, it's an oil that's not used very much. It's not distilled very often. It took me a decade to get it. And so I like your picture, by the way.
If I could only animate it, it would be better.
Right.
I'm not tech savvy enough, but anyway, so yeah, thank you.
So the thing that's very interesting about it is it's a conifer, so it's in that evergreen family, but when they distill it from the buds of the poplar, of the poplar plant. And so it's the only one that I'm aware of where they do the buds themselves. And so they basically have to go and hand pick the buds. And so that's part of why it's so hard to get and so costly is it's all hand picked, and they're not having a lot of the material to distill, and so we're excited too because we're getting also larch. We're getting some larch balsam, and again in the conifer family. But it's one of those oils that really has fallen away and has almost fallen out of distillation. And larch is an incredible oil for respiratory issues and psychosomatic issues. I mean, it just really, clears up the heart, activates the heart substantially, deepens the breath, helps clear up the somaticizing that's happening. And it's a very interesting plant too, because it's the only conifer that loses its needles. Most, even in the wintertime, they don't lose their needles. But the larch actually loses its needles in the wintertime. And so we're trying to find some of these old school plants that are really kind of fallen away, because really the distillers and a lot of the companies are just buying things up that they know that they can turn around and sell. And that old school medical aromatherapy thing of, finding plants as medicine and getting it out there, it takes a lot of education, takes a lot of effort. And so there's kind of starting to be a little bit of a resurgence of that in the medical aromatherapy field, where people are starting to reach out to those older things like they were. And so I think somebody was asking me on the Tuesday nights about the it's the night blossoming jasmine. Remember, I think it was a Tuesday night class. It might have been a weekend class, but I found it. Whoever was asking about that, I found it, and I should have it in about a month. And so, nowhere near as expensive as normal jasmine, too, by the way. Yeah. But going back to the poplar balsam, I mean, you could make a balm out of it just for like pain or wounds or something like that, with other things or just by itself, and I guarantee it would work. You know how like galbanum kind of really controls the pain threshold? Poplar does it as well, if not even better. It's just, it does so many things.
Maybe one day when I'm feeling indulgent. Right now, I just open the bottle and smell.
Yeah.
It's label.
Yeah. When you're feeling indulgent, you got a bottle of it. Try taking a poplar bath. Oh my God, feels just incredible. Yeah, when we first got it, we only got a half a kilo because it's all the distiller had. And so we just got the kilo in stock. So, we're good for a while now, because I'm putting it in blends because it amplifies the effects of so many things. So some of the blends have gotten reworked, and just a little tiny amount of poplar gets added to some things to help with accelerating the healing process. And so, yeah, that's one that we're hoping to keep around for a long time. It took me a long time to find it, but now that I found it, I'm getting pretty pushy with the distiller. Like I want first choice. It's crazy expensive, but I think it's well worth it.
Jen, did you?
Hey, Miss Jenny.
Hi, Greg. I have a question.
Yeah,
What happens? What happens when we take a poplar balsam bath? I want to know. Am I going to see like rainbows and fairies and unicorns and things like that?
Not too far off of that. I have crazy dreams. It's almost a little. I feel a little intoxicated, like usually when I do it. And then when I wake up in the morning, I feel like I had a busy night dreaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to leave and go take a bath now.
Yeah. Good for you. I mean, and usually a bath is 15-20 minutes. Stay in a little extra longer, stay in another 5-10 extra minutes. We're also getting, when they distill it, I think we're going to be able to get the hydrosol from it. The water that they use to distill the poplar.
Yes.
And it should be significantly less expensive, but you could use it as like a spray or, we got a little sample from the distiller, and boy, I told him I want, as many gallons of that as you can give me.
Yes. Do you remember I was asking you about the Venus hydrosols?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Making a hydrosol for Venus, that would be a complicated process.
Yeah. So, okay. So we should know more about that in the next few weeks about the hydrosol.
Awesome.
Sometimes they're giving us these things like out of their personal, like the larch. We got a bit of a sample, and basically the distiller gave us some of his personal stock. It's a thing like with these guys, like where they'll keep, 4-6 ounces, 8 ounces of something, because you never know, it might not be back around again. And so I was able to talk him out of about 4 ounces of it. And so we're trying to buy up everything that this guy distills of the large. You know, poplar probably is going to be the case as well. But
That would be so awesome. I've been
Mhm.
using frankincense
Mhm.
and I think it's holy basil.
Oh yeah,
Thule, is it Thule, holy basil? Is that what?
Tulsi. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And lavender and rose.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But they're not plant prana hydrosols. There's another.
Yeah, yeah. I can get different kinds of rose hydrosols for sure out of Bulgaria. Holy basil is a little bit hard because like sometimes the countries that those come out of, they don't always keep the hydrosols really clean. You know, they'll use a lot of salt as a coolant as well as their distilling. So the hydrosol doesn't always make it to be something that's used. And then what was the other one you were using?
So I have 4 that are my go-to: lavender, frankincense.
Yeah, lavender I
and
can get pretty
rose.
easily too.
Okay.
Yeah, like especially Bulgarian lavender. I know the person that brings all the stuff in from Bulgaria, so the hydrosols out of there I can get pretty easily.
Would it be possible to do like a parsley hydrosol for the face? Do you think that would work?
I can check. Like yeah, there's not always a hydrosol available, but there is one person who's like kind of the hydrosol person. She's up in Canada, and so I can get into contact with her and see what she's got.
Okay, thank you, Greg. I
Yeah.
say road
So
trip.
parsley, yeah. She's got about 50 or 60 hydrosols, so she's got some funky ones.
Can we just
my
take a road trip up there?
Yeah, it still would be hard getting across the border.
Oh, right.
The Canadian border is the hardest border of importing, getting things in the country, and so she has a Lotus hydrosol that's incredible, but it's not very stable. Like it starts going bad in about 4 months, because it's water, so you have to add a bunch of alcohol to it to stabilize it. So it's hard. It would be hard to use for anything else other than.
Greg, sorry to interrupt, but just on that topic, can you explain the benefit of a hydrosol and how it differs from what we're talking?
A lot of times I use them for skincare. It's a way of getting, it's not anywhere near as strong as an essential oil, but it's sometimes when you're wanting a softer treatment or to do some skincare, or you're wanting to ingest it, but you're not wanting to take a lot of the oil. It's a way of doing like a softer version of it. The difficulty is because it's water, it doesn't usually have a very long shelf life. And so it can start growing mold in it relatively quickly, depending on how clean the hydrosol is. The stuff that I get out of Bulgaria sometimes can have a shelf life of about a year to 18 months. But I mean, I've had some hydrosols that, 3 or 4 months and they already start going bad. So the way to preserve it is you add, you make it so that it's about 15% alcohol, and the alcohol will act as a preservative. So it's a way of, you can get the smell, but if you're trying to hit dosages, it's harder to get the dosage with a hydrosol. So a lot of times it gets used in a lot of skin cares and things like that, or to take internal, like it's just a soft way of taking something internally. Yeah. The other thing that actually is really good with hydrosols is treating pets. Because it is so soft. You have a bunch of Palo Santo hydrosol, actually, now that I think about it.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi. This is probably a silly question, but I'm doing more with the baths and the oils, but I usually have a jacuzzi tub, so I get it kind of full and put a couple cups of Epsom salt. Does that jacuzzi disturb it, or does it matter?
No, that's fine. That's great. As long as the salt's not hurting your jacuzzi tub itself. The oils with the jacuzzi tub, yeah, that you're good to go.
And should I have more if it's pretty deep? Because I like to really soak. So
if your tub is bigger volume, you can always add more oils in there to soak the body more. Just as long as they're not something that's too sensitizing to the skin. Like one's a good example is, God, when I take a sage bath, I go crazy with the sage. 25, 30 drops, sometimes even 40 drops if the body's, tired and run down. And man, it gets me a good night's sleep, and it kind of strengthens the body. And, I don't feel like I'm like stimulating anything. I just feel better and stronger. And so, and that's not even with a bigger bathtub, but if I used to have a really big bathtub, and I would add more drops to that. It was about a 6-foot long tub. And so that I would add significantly more drops to.
And another quick question is, I ordered the ANS.
Yeah. Mhm.
How do I apply that? I don't know if I took notes right.
Yeah, so you can apply it topically with some like lotion or carrier oil to the abdomen, but your best bet with that is you can do inhalation and do like the lungs and the digestive tract. So you can do the digestive pattern or the sinus pattern, or you put a few drops in water and take it internally.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of times I have people, just because it's easy, just to take a few drops and take it internally. It's really good for regulating the autonomic nervous system, which would impact tension in the muscle of the digestive tract and the muscle of the respiratory tract. And so sometimes I even go through and utilize that for treating back pain, because sometimes your back pain is reacting to the soft tissue that's holding in the internal organs in place, and that's tight, and so then it starts to reflect onto the back. And so sometimes I start with that, and when you relax the smooth muscle like that, it actually can reduce anxiety and even some panic attacks. And so if you're having a hard time falling asleep, or you're always feeling anxious, one of the first things you look at is smooth muscle. You go and you look at the digestive tract and the respiratory tract, and make sure that those things are relatively relaxed, because if not, it's telling your body to go into fight flight. And so it's just keeping your body in that fight flight mode. And so a good way to calm everything down is that ANS, and there's another blend, Higher Creativity, does a different version of the same thing. They both are. ANS I usually use to treat digestive issues, just boom, right off the bat. But both are for relaxing smooth muscle for the respiratory tract and the digestive tract.
So would that mean topically in the back, or just drinking it is fine, a couple drops?
Just drinking it is fine, or just inhaling it. Like you don't even have to apply it to the back. We have somebody here that is in our little circle here, and she's always like trying to crack her back and everything. And I gave her some of the Higher Creativity, which is very similar to ANS. And she said she was inhaling it, and I didn't even give her a pattern. I just said, just sit and inhale this at night and just see what it does for you. And she said it made her back feel better.
Okay.
Because it's taking the tension off, it's even taking tension out of the kidneys. It's taking tension, anything that's smooth muscle, which is internal organs,
I get the fight or flight because I had a stress-induced myocardial infarction. So I'm really concerned about the whole parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah, so definitely be treating that with those two things. Yeah, definitely.
Both the ANS and the Higher Creativity.
Yeah, either one, but just keep inhaling it so it regulates because by calming down the smooth muscle, you're actually regulating the autonomic nervous system, so the sympathetic and parasympathetic.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Well, you guys have had a lot of great questions today, by the way.
Can crystals and essential oils amplify each other? And are there reference books for helping them work together?
There's no reference book that I'm aware of, but they do kind of help each other, or they kind of can work with each other. You know, a little bit later this year, we are going to start teaching a crystal class for Astara, and I'm going to start doing kind of like how they kind of overlap. So we will be addressing that, but I'm not aware of any book that really addresses that. Usually somebody's more of a crystal person or more of an oil person. There are people who like put the crystals in the oils and things like that, but that's not necessarily a thing that necessarily enhances them. You kind of want to use the properties of each and maximize that. So we're going to lay that out for you guys. And, you know, if you want to go down that road, you know, all my notes for crystals and working with stones and things, I gifted as a tithe to Astara, so they will be coming to Astara for the classes. So.
What is the best carrier oil? I was recommended jojoba, but have not learned much about topical unless it is direct on skin, but taking pain management this weekend to learn more.
Yeah, so different carrier oils have different properties, and it depends on what you're trying to do. Jojoba is a good carrier oil. Actually, jojoba is good because it's actually not a true oil, it's actually a wax. And so it never goes rancid. And so that's one good thing that's about jojoba. But you know, the old days we used sweet almond oil. But now, you know, we have like coconut oil, we have all kinds of things. And so here we use the tamanu oil for things that are lymphatic in nature. Also sesame oil, filtered and deodorized sesame oil is really good for lymphatic system. And then the Kalahari melon oil is really good for inflammation. And so what we're trying to do is align the carrier oils to the properties of what you're trying to treat, so that it makes it a little bit more effective rather than just having it as a carrier oil. And so we're trying to compile more and more information about that for you guys. I haven't really found one particular source that lays that kind of stuff out. So we're basically kind of oil by oil going through and just seeing what it's good for and how to use it. And, you know, we're using moringa oil a lot, heliocarrot, macadamia nut, rosehip oil. And so we're going to be giving more and more information about those things as time goes by. But jojoba is good, but depends on what you're trying to do. Almond oil is always good. Grapeseed can be good, but it's a little greasy. You know, it can be a little greasy. Apricot kernel was always kind of a good choice for price and, you know, bang for your buck. So it really kind of depends. If you're working on the face, the tamanu is good and rosehip oil is real good. Yeah.
I ordered thuja for a friend through muscle testing. I researched it and it was perfect for her, but I'd love to hear you describe thuja.
Thuja is very good for stimulating lymph nodes. It has an impact on lymphatic properties. You would use it very similar to how you would use cedar. Can be good for some viruses, like warts and things like that. Very good for getting rid of skin tags. But the thing that I use thuja the most for, as far as physical things is jump starting lymph nodes, like lymph nodes that are really kind of shut down because of inflammation or you can't really take thuja essential oil internal just because it has a lot of thulione, which is a chemical in it. It's real strong, so it can become toxic if taken internally very quickly. And so very good to take through inhalation or through topical skin application. If you're trying to treat viruses, again, through topical application with massage oil. But if you're treating things like warts and things like that, you can put it on directly onto the wart site. You would have to do it daily for a while, but a lot of times it will knock the wart completely out. So what were you using it for your friend for?
Okay, can you hear me? This is Cynthia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Hello. When I looked, I didn't know why I was buying it. I just was going over all my oils and that stood out so strong. So I ordered her some, and she has all kinds of respiratory issues. And
yeah, it could be helpful for that. It's also very anything that's like a big tree or like an evergreen or real resinous, very fortifying to the system, to the nervous system, even to the immune system somewhat. And so if she's having a lot of respiratory issues, you always can use things that have a balsamy kind of feel to them to soothe the respiratory tract. Yeah. That could be helpful. Did she find it helpful?
Oh, she loved it.
Yeah. Good.
That I keep it right by my chair where I like to sit, and I inhale it. And she said I sniff it.
Yeah. Good.
And so, but I made sure she was doing the deep inhalations, but she absolutely loved it. So anything that has a lot of thulione in it, which is the chemical that's in thuja, it also can help, like it hits these receptor sites in the brain, and it can really help like your ability to like change your internal way of thinking. Not so much like other people changing your mind, but like as you start to like sit and contemplate and go, I want to do this, I want to do that. It makes it easier to do those things because, for one, it's strengthening and fortifying, but it also literally helps the mind go down new pathways with your thought processes. And so I'm a big fan of thuja. I work it in a lot when I can into blends and in the protocols, but it's one of those ones like hyssop and mugwort and rue where it really kind of fell off the bandwagon there for quite a while. But like when I was coming up the ranks when I was young, it was just one of the ones that we would use for really hardcore situations. I mean, it's such a potent oil that you can get away with just using small amounts and really produce significant results with just really small amounts of it. Yeah, and when I did the research, it said that the natives called it the tree of life. Because
Arbor Vitae and thuja are referred to. Actually, when I get Arbor Vitae or Vitae, however you want to say it, which is like it's almost hard to tell the difference between them. The bottle actually says tree of life. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I've become a huge fan through finding it for her. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Can you name a couple of blends that will have poplar balsam? I have Serenity, Gratitude, Infinite Light. Any others?
I would have to go through and I spend so much time during the day blending that I can't really retain all that. I can try to real quick.
Oh, actually, I see somebody actually responded and said they had Serenity Gratitude Infinite Light to answer that person's question.
The Bardo oil has it. The CRC Gold, I don't think we put that on the website. Friar's Balsam. Gratitude. Letting Go. Mercury. The Blitten Mercury. Pain relief. And pain relief's in your pain kit. Yes, Shadow Self. Yeah, that's just at a quick glance. Those are the ones that have it, but I know there's more. I don't know what they are right now. Any other questions?
Yeah, and you guys can always unmute. I'm just going through your guys' questions here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No?
I'm having trouble with like my spine's torqued and the top two vertebrae are torqued, and when the atlas is torqued, the sympathetic nervous system doesn't shut off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's torquing some vertebrae right behind my solar diaphragm and solar plexus, and they're having trouble straightening that out, and I've used about 40 milligrams of marjoram and a bottle of anti-spaz and some Glory of Lebanon, and I was putting it on direct and then also in a salt bath before I would go.
Yeah, I would actually, we can actually, I was thinking about doing this anyway. We can go through and treat, doing like a spinal release tonight.
And so actually what you'd want to do is you'd want to start off with treating the smooth muscle. And the smooth muscle will start to calm down the fight flight, and will start to decrease some of the body tension. And then you follow it up with doing something to deepen the breath. And anytime you start to do that, you start to relax the muscles along the spine itself. And then the things that you're doing will actually work better, like the marjoram or the antispasmodic, anything like that will work better. But if the smooth muscle is really wound up, it's really hard to calm down the skeletal muscle. And so, like, if you're not getting the ability to get relief like that, and you have like torques like that, a lot of times you got to unwind the smooth muscle in the gut.
Yeah, I've been using a lot of that decubins. Some of what triggers the diaphragm spasm is the deep breathing. So usually at the end of Sunday, when our classes,
Right.
then it's tight all the time, and then there's certain things that trigger it, and the doctor said that the torque in the spine is torquing the diaphragm.
Mm-hmm. You got to hit the smooth muscle first, though. Like we'll actually go through, and we're going to do this. I was going to do it anyway, so we can go through and do this protocol right now. So let's just jump into this. So let's go ahead and have you pull out. If you have higher consciousness or ANS support, that would be good. If not, tarragon, anise, rosemary, or Ami Visnaga would all be a good one to use.
Rescue does something else.
Yeah, rescue. Yeah, I would.
And just go ahead and type in if you don't have any of those oils.
Okay, so let's go ahead and begin inhaling your whatever oil you're using. And start inhaling with your awareness between your eyebrows, the ajna. Keep inhaling with your awareness between the eyebrows. Move your awareness to the throat, the center of your throat.
Keep inhaling with your awareness on the throat. Drop down to your throat minor, that little notch between the two collarbones. The cheek minors, so under the cheekbone on each side. And then the jaw minors, which are the joints right in front of the ear canal itself, where the jaw hinges. Go to the ear canal itself. The back heart, the area between the shoulder blades. Go to your front solar plexus, the area below your ribs on the front side. This is a little excerpt out of the pain class, by the way. Keep inhaling on the front solar plexus. Move your awareness to the back solar plexus, the mid-back area. just be still, just be aware, let everything go for a moment. Begin inhaling with your awareness on the front solar plexus again. Move your awareness to the back solar plexus. To the front and back spleen on the left-hand side below the ribs. Down to your navel. An inch and a half below your navel. The bottom of your tailbone. Just be still, be aware. Just let go of the inhalation, just let go. Okay, so now we're going to reach for, if you have hyssop, some form of hyssop, any hyssop will work. Sitka, frankincense, any form of spruce, anula, Amevasnaga.
If we used on me, it's not gone the last time, it's okay to do it again.
Probably use something different. Yeah. Hyssop would be good. Usually I use hyssop on this.
Solomon's is up.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, ready? You're beginning to inhale. Your awareness is between your eyebrows. Go to your throat, the middle of your throat.
Drop down to the throat minor, the bottom of the throat. That little notch between your two collarbones. Continue on the throat minor. Go to the cheek minor, underneath each cheekbone. Go to the jaw minors, where the jaw hinges in front of the ear canal. The ear minors, where the holes in your ears are. Your back heart, between the shoulder blades.
your front solar plexus, the area below your ribs. And your back solar plexus, your mid back area. Just be still. Be still. Be aware. Okay, we're going to reach for, here's some choices: basil, petitgrain, poplar balsam, neroli, Spasmophilia blend, petitgrain supreme, basil supreme, even marjoram. Antispasmodic, fascial release.
Are any of them stronger than the others? Like what
They're all pretty good. Yeah, they're all pretty good. Okay, ready? Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your navel. Over to the left-hand side, your front and back spleen under the ribs.
to your low back area, backside of your navel, known as the Mingmen. Continue to inhale in this area, the Mingmen area. The sex chakra, where the sex organs are. The bottom of your tailbone. The soles of your feet. Your ankles. The knees, front and back knees, below the kneecap and the crease in the back of your knee. Below your kneecap, and then the crease in the back of your knee. Up to your hips.
your low back, your area around your vertebrae and your low back. Your mid back, the bones around the area of the bones of the mid back. Your upper back, the area between your shoulder blades, but close to the vertebrae. The bones in your neck, the cervical area. Okay, be still. So normally I would have a person cycle through this whole series again. And usually we can do them both front or both the first one and the second one in right about an hour. And so this really helps to unwind. We just did one cycle, but notice how your body feels, notice how your spine feels. You could do this daily for a little while, but you're basically unwinding the pattern in your body that's holding the spine in the disjointed space. So anybody want to share their experience or have a question?
Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Hi, Greg. I'm a little zoned out for a bit, but
Yeah.
I just I am actually a lot zoned out. I wanted to ask to see if this whole protocol could address neck issues.
Yeah, so it could address neck issues. What you would do is you would do this, and then there's a series that we do that's real specific to the neck. Like in the booklet, it's just called a neck release. And so we'd go through and we'd treat that. Yeah.
That would be so great because I have a reverse curvature. on my
Mhm.
neck. And after years of chiropractic care, it's still not really correcting it.
Yeah, yeah. And and there's devices that can help slowly change that over a period of time, but you keep just unwinding the neck is what you do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. How do you feel, by the way?
I am definitely a little zoned out. I had to muster the energy to ask you this
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Yeah.
But very, very soothing, very
Good.
deeply
Good.
relaxing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christy?
Hey, Miss Christie.
Hi there again. I do feel much better. And to the person who mentioned the concussion earlier, thank you, because I fell 2 nights ago. And I had some body work done today and some cranial work done, and I was feeling much better. And even this, just all the release was really helping. But towards the very end, it started to have spasming up that left side again. So should I just cycle back through
So where were you having the spasms?
on that left side of the skull?
On the skull itself.
Yeah.
On the outside, or it feels more on the inside?
Feels like more outside, like base up around to behind the ear and temple up.
I would use like either vetiver or some marjoram and like treat the spots topically.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of times, marjoram will work, but a lot of times with the tissue on the skull itself, I use vetiver a lot on that.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that the marjoram wouldn't work. It's just it's soothing. It's cool. It doesn't cause like excess blood flow. It's just a nice, good muscle relaxer. Basil would also work. Petitgreen would probably also work. But you want to reduce the spasms and start at the base of the skull. You know how you go to the center, there's that little indentation, and then off to each side there's that little bump. Like start on that little bump because it's just where muscle tissue is attaching, and then work it up from there, and then treat the area wherever it is. A lot of times if you treat that spot, it takes a lot of the tension out of the head.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Someone said, thank you, much better. Another, very nice. Another, could you post the neck release for us?
Yeah, I'll have to go through my notes and pull that out. Yeah.
From a little earlier, someone did ask what oils would be good to heal a bone and Achilles tendon insertion pain.
It's so when you say the bone, like, are we talking about like the tendon is pulling away from the bone, or is there like a broken bone and an Achilles tendon issue? Like, what are we talking about?
I think I made it so you guys can only, or you can type it in.
Greg, this is
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So it's just a pain right by the heel bone and a little bit up by the Achilles tendon.
So is there pain on the bottom of the heel, or is it just on the back side?
It's also on the bottom of the heel.
Okay, so yeah, like I would treat two different things here. So one where the pain is for the insertion site for the Achilles, you could use something probably like marjoram or basil, or use something like even vetiver, or use something like the antispasmodic or spasmophilia or fascial release. Use something like that, but treat the whole from the back of the knee down. Like go all the way down, because your back of your calf muscle eventually turns into that Achilles tendon, and so you're wanting to take some of the tension out there. A lot of times I use marjoram there because that area is so prone to cramping to begin with. Marjoram is really good for taking out that tension, and so go ahead and hit the tendon site. But the issue could be, you have a couple potential issues here. Is the calf and the Achilles issue could be causing like a radiating pain down below on the bottom of the heel. That is very, very possible. or you could actually have a little bit of spurring on the bone itself. And so if the treatment that you're using for the calf and the tendon doesn't resolve the issue on the bottom of the heel, then you're going to want to use like that Arthrocare or like Lovage, the iron bark eucalyptus, something like that, and really treat the bottom of the heel. And that will really take the heel pain out if they're spurring, because there's really not, the treatment for heel spurs is really, there's not a lot to do other than reduce the inflammation, and sometimes they'll put a little bit of a heel lift in the shoe. But if you don't do it on the other side, it actually starts to cause one of your hips to be a little bit elevated. And so all they're trying to do is shift some of the weight off of your heel. But if you use like the Lovage or one of the like the blend, like the Arthrocare, that's what it's made for, is to unwind the tissue from the spurs itself. And if you do that, it should take the pain away. Sometimes the spurring will actually cause the problem up above. And so it's like one of those things where you're not really quite sure if the calf issue is causing the heel pain or if the heel pain is causing the calf issue, and the Achilles issue. So
I think it started from the knee, then towards the calf, and
yeah, that's very possible. That's very, very possible. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's why I
have
say like,
been-
start at the knee and then treat your way down. Like,
Okay.
don't just get really super isolated on that one spot, because if you spend too much time on that one spot, a lot of times the problem is up higher, and so treat with marjoram, from just the knee down. And, because even the gastric nevus actually attaches a little bit above the crease of the knee. So you're even starting on like the lower part of the back of the thigh, and you can work your way down, and sometimes that will take it out. But if it's not responding, then try it from the heel and then work your way up.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if that doesn't resolve, bring it to my attention, because that's very, very treatable. Very, very treatable.
Good. Thank you so much, Greg.
You're so welcome. We have time for like maybe one or two more questions.
Yeah. What oils do you recommend for a person with systemic inflammation, and how would you use them?
Systemic inflammation, definitely I'd start right off the bat, 2 to 3, even 4 drops of black cumin taken internally. I mean, that's got to be like, boom, right off the bat. That's going to really start reducing inflammation in the body quite substantially. And I'd also go to the health food store and get this product. It's a digestive enzyme, but you take it in between your meals. And so it's called Wobazyme. And, it's just basically a digestive enzyme, but it's made for soft tissue issues, and it's made for reducing inflammation in the body. And so get the small bottle first in case it doesn't work for you, because they're a little bit pricey. And start with 1 capsule in between your meals. And then if you can handle more, then slowly work your way up to 2 capsules in between your meals. And that and the black cumin should really greatly reduce the inflammation in the body. You could also use some frankincense taken internally, which starts to help to reduce the precursors to inflammation. Turmeric can also help. We make that one blend, the black seed complex, which is the black cumin, turmeric, frankincense, and myrrh. And all of those have strong anti-inflammatory properties to them. And that combined with the Wobazyme, the digestive enzyme, should help with the inflammation in the body without having to take, things like ibuprofen and things.
What was the name of the enzyme?
It's called Wobazyme, like Wobezyme.
I might have slaughtered that just trying to do it.
Yeah, they're a German company. They make a really good digestive enzyme.
Last question, is using the blends with poplar balsam as effective as just using poplar balsam?
No, poplar balsam by itself. I mean, it depends. The blends are made for specific applications. So if you're comparing it to all those different things that poplar balsam does, once you put it in a blend, it kind of directs it to what that blend does. And so you're wanting to use poplar balsam, using it by itself is best. So I got to jump into another meeting, you guys. So we are going to be on the road next week, but we're still going to do this particular stream. So we'll still talk to you guys next week. We'll just be doing it from, I think, Tennessee. So yeah, as long as weather permits Wi-Fi connection. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. And some of you I'll see in person in Kentucky. So yeah, we're doing the pain class this weekend. Okay, you guys, love you guys, and I'll see you sometime soon.
Bye guys.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Take care,
Bye.
you guys. Take care.